Why, hello there. Why, hello there, chat. How are we today? Yo, you know what I was just thinking about? Do you guys remember, some of you guys maybe been here for this. Do you guys remember when we used to literally have just like 12 to 50 people in here every stream? Like when we first started streaming, probably right? It was either right before or right after lockdowns and the pandemic and everything like that. Do you guys remember what that was like? Crazy. Oh, actually, yeah, it is a little low. Sorry. Here, let me let me jack that up. Sorry. I don't know why that level went down. Do you guys remember that shit? That was kind of wild. Yep, those were pretty chill streams, you know? Just kind of figuring it out, just getting in here, talking about stuff, you know? Trying to see what was going on with all the nerdy stuff. Just kind of interesting. Just had a little flashback, you know, because the streams always start a little smaller, right, as people get in here and whatnot. But I was just like, you know what, honestly, I wonder what I probably still would be doing it if it was just like 50 people still, you know what I mean? Like I'd probably still just be out here and doing it and enjoying it, and I don't know, maybe I'd get into less trouble, you know what I mean? Maybe things would be simpler. Maybe we should put a cap on this so that only the first 50 people get into each stream, and that's it. I miss those days, frankly. Yeah, you know, everything has a season. That was a good season, though. You know, that was a good season. And there are aspects of it that I miss, too. You know, but there's stuff that I enjoy about it now. You know, it's cool to be able to talk to more people, to have more reach and all that. It's just everything kind of comes with a cost benefit. But yeah, simpler times. Anyway, what's up with all y'all, man? What's up with you guys today? How you guys feeling? How's the week treating you guys? Very happy that it's a Friday. You excited that it's a Friday? You made it through the work week, baby. Well, some of you did. As long as it's 50 Warhammer fans. Hell yeah. Sorry I cost you your sanity. Oh, it's okay, Jedi Mike. I didn't really have too much of that anyway. I'm not, because it's been my week off and now it's over. Boo! Oh, that sucks. Damn, it's Wednesday for you? Yeah, my weekends used to be Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, because I'd work all weekend at the restaurant. Yeah, David, I hear you, bro. I feel like shit, and I just started my shift. Man, I've been there too. Yo, what's some of the worst shifts you guys have ever worked? Two of them come to mind for me. I remember I once worked a 16-hour shift right into third shift. So it must have been like, I don't know, a 10-hour into a 6-hour or something. I don't remember exactly what it was. But, dude, that shit was awful. I remember that one. And then I remember one time working a Christmas season shift at a very busy restaurant in Philadelphia, and I was dead ass, like, had a fever and was like shivering, but like had to act like that's not what was going on, which is totally not chill. Like, nobody should do that. Nobody should have to do that. No person that orders food should have to have the person that's serving them in that state. But late stage capitalism, baby, you know? Like your manager would literally look at you and just be like, is your body still warm? Does it work? You're going to be able to carry food? Then clock the fuck in, you know what I mean? Chris says, thanks for streaming, Josh. I really needed this today. Love y'all. Hey, no worries, man. Appreciate you. Hope you guys are doing okay out there. You know? Hope you guys are doing okay out there. I'll tell you what's on the schedule for me today and this weekend, because I'm going to have some fun. Today I got to paint some Warhammer. So we're gonna get into some stories today. I actually have some cool stories for you guys today. We're gonna talk about Batman in the DCU. Somebody put together a video that's every single time Matt Reeves and James Gunn has commented on this whole merger thing for like the past 3 years. I can't wait. So we're going to go over that video. We're going to talk about what the deal is now, because it's even still like, I mean, it still feels like the merger is possible. Gunn just refuses to put the kibosh on it completely, talking about like the doors open or this, that, second, and the third. So, yeah, I think it's still possible. We'll talk about that. There's some really cool info out there about the Starfighter movie, the Star Wars Starfighter movie. And I have an interesting take on that, man. I'm gonna float this. I'm gonna float this word, or I'm gonna float this phrase, and just let it percolate in your mind until we get to it. Kathleen Kennedy's revenge. I just want you to just hear that. Just listen to that. Let that hit your ear pussies. I mean your ears. Kathleen Kennedy's revenge. How does that hit you? We'll get into it. Darth Baba, appreciate you with the 10 spot, says, I never wanted to watch Peacemaker, but I feel like the quality has been 2 times better than all the Disney Plus shows. Oh, geez, I gotta hear the other part here. DCU definitely has an advantage with HBO showrunners. Interesting. Yeah, I mean, Peacemaker's just not for me, man. You know, but look, if people are enjoying it and people think it's better than a lot of the Disney Plus, I mean, who am I to say? Who am I to be like, oh no, I must defend the Disney Plus shows? Like, nah, bro, like you can have that one. Like, you're good, bro. So God bless, and I hope you enjoy it. Let's see what she's got. Well, we'll get into that. Then we're gonna talk about Loki a little bit today, guys. We've God damn it, I can't, for all of this, like, I guess it's just kind of crazy to me. I was thinking about this morning, right? It's kind of crazy to me that we go from, oh, maybe there's this crazy scene that is being shot on the Windsor grounds, and like, oh my God, that we're never gonna know what that is, to we just got all 4 of those people confirmed. We know that they all just wrapped filming. So let's talk about Loki, Steve Rogers, and Peggy Carter having a conversation. It's like, at some level, that's probably too much. Like, do you know what I'm saying? Like, it's probably just a little too much. These Scooper, like, I have conflicted feelings about this. You know, because like, dude, like, I think I'd be able to speculate and have fun and theorize no matter what. And I think the Scoopers are really, I think the Scoopers should all go live on Mars. You know? Like, what if Marvel just made them a deal? And they were like, you know what if you guys all just packed it up and moved to Mars? You know what I mean? So we'll get into that. We'll talk about Steve Rogers, Peggy Carter, Loki. What the hell is that conversation about? And then I had a little blurb that I wrote down. Just a sort of yap session, a sort of tangent, if you will, about how I see Hollywood going from like an over-commercialization to now what I'm thinking might be an over art house presentation mindset. And that I'm watching, like, what I think is going on is we went from a commercialization perspective of like, how often can this said group make contact with this IP, to now we want to pull that back and we want to sort of build more prestige, elevated genre, A24 feeling content. And it feels like that's taking over the space, you know, just looking at where Hollywood is going. Like, I'm just kind of seeing that. I don't know if you guys are seeing that or not. I don't know if you're vibing on that or not, but we'll get into it. Mars is just a base. They all live on Jupiters. Oh shit. Okay. Well, yeah, whatever. However they want to do it. You know what I mean? Just get out of here. Yeah. So it'll be a good stream today. We got some topics we're going to get into. And then I'm going to chill out, man. Some of the family is a little sick. So we're going to all lay in bed and try to take a family nap in the afternoon. Just get everybody a little bit of rest. And then I have a lot of Warhammer building and painting to do. And there's a big Warhammer tournament going on right now. I don't know if you guys saw this. The Nova Open is happening right now. And it's live streaming. I was considering, I don't know if I'm going to actually be able to do it, but I was considering doing a stream later today just kind of a chill stream where we would watch some of that tournament and I would paint my Warhammer minis live. So if everybody wants to just come hang and we'll paint Warhammer minis and hang out with Warhammer, we could do that. We could do that later. Zach says, love the community. I'm low-key hyped for Loki. Warhammer's the way, and KK smells her own farts. Much love, Josh. Appreciate you, man. Thank you. What time? I'm not really sure. My priority after the stream is going to be making sure the family gets some rest and that everybody's, you know, feeling good, hydrated, and all that. And then I'll circle back to the Warhammer stuff. So I'm excited. I'm going down to Pittsburgh tomorrow, taking a guy's trip. Actually, another one of my buddies just said he could go as well. So we're going to drive on down to Pittsburgh. We're going to play some Warhammer. We're going to get into some shenanigans, throw some drinks back, have a good time, man. It'll be good. It'll be good. So I'm excited for that. Kiwis is good for health. Kiwis do have a lot of vitamin C, and they taste pretty yummy. I like kiwis. Who approved your PTO? Ah, man. I forged the paperwork. That's what it was. You crazy ass nerds. K9 says, we don't care about Warhammer. That's not true. That's not true. Everybody loves Warhammer, man. There's only two types of people in the world. Okay? Comes down to this. People that recognize that Warhammer is the best thing ever and it's the next big thing. And then people that just haven't figured it out yet. That's what it is. Can you paint our faces on your Warhammer? I mean, I could try, but I don't know that I'm that good of a painter, to be honest. Yeah. What about you guys? Does anybody have any cool plans this weekend? What are you guys doing? What's on the agenda, man? Is Warhammer more about wars or hammers? Definitely more about wars. Stifler, jeez. An army of chat would wreck. That's true. I was gonna watch you paint miniatures, but there's paint while drying rival stream at the same time. Wait, what? Checking out No Man's Sky update. Oh yeah, dude, I want to play Light No Fires, man. When's that coming out? Because that seems awesome. Yo, Custodies are about to get tabled. That's a shame. You know, I looked at that dude's list, man. I just was like, this just feels so standard. Because you know what his list felt like to me? This won't make sense. Doesn't make sense to like three of you. His list was like, felt like to me like, okay, I guess Custodies are just not that good, but I'll just do the standard good enough Custodies list and see if I can do good with it. And to me, that shows like zero creativity. I feel like if you want Custodies to be competitive right now, you have to think outside the box. Like, you cannot just line up fucking wardens and bikes and all that shit and just be like, hey, I'm going to do the thing you know I do. Like, does that make sense? Like, you cannot play that way. I almost... I don't want to get into a whole tangent here, but... Hey, it's all good, you know? He's trying to do what he can with the Custodes, but... I wasn't that impressed. I wasn't that impressed. Star Wars Sith says, let's go, Warhammer. I'm so excited. I finally accepted that Star Wars is over. Bro, that's crazy. Star Wars Sith. Whoa. Whoa. W's in chat for Star Wars Sith. I just wanted you to read my comment. Oh, okay. Well, there you go. You know, it's funny, dude. You're admitting that. That's like everybody in this motherfucker. But hey, you admitted it at least. So that's cool. A lot of you are doing the same thing, though. You're like trying to get me. And it's all just like, let's get him. You know, let's get him. Star Wars Sith says, this is the truth. Thanks for propagating that. And everybody who's not reading chat knows for sure that it's real. I love it here. Woo! I don't need attention from Josh. Oh, well, good for you. What is even real? What is real? How do you define real? What does he say next? He's like, if it's electrical impulses that are... Fuck, it's been a while since I watched The Matrix. Has there been like a Warhammer porn parodies of Warhammer? How would I know that? There has. Josh, will you be covering D23? I'm gonna be covering D's nuts. No, I'm not gonna cover D23. I don't even think it's a D23. I think you guys are all wrong. I looked it up. It's D22. It's like not even the one you think it is. It's D20. It might even be D21. And it can't hold its liquor. So, no, I'm not going to be covering D21. If something comes out, we'll cover it on Monday. Can I react to your Multiverse Saga? What? Maybe someday. Maybe sometime. Just real Drakari lore is basically important. Dude, Drakari lore is pretty crazy. Drakari is kind of a tough sell for the normies. You know, there was a thing, there was a clip from Event Horizon. You guys ever seen this movie, Event Horizon? There's a clip from Event Horizon that was like going viral on Twitter. And the other day I retweeted it and I was like, should we tell everybody that this is as close as we've gotten to live action Warhammer, or will it scare everybody off? And a bunch of people were like, ah! And it's like, it's hard to explain that like Warhammer is kind of like, you know, a bunch of dude bro, Giga Chad, stoic knights that are just shouting, brother, and like for the Emperor. And yet it is also the case that every single being in that universe is mere moments away from encountering literal living hell in like the most fucked up, disturbing way possible. Like that's kind of what Warhammer is. It's kind of like got that balance, you know? But I do think some of that crazy shit is a little hard for the normies to just get on it. But Event Horizon is very cool, and it does kind of, I mean, it is close to the concept of the warp, you know? Go to the McFarlane Tour store and sign up for the gold variant of Spider-Man #1 statue from the Equilo store. Open at 9 a.m. today. Denim Nerds Live. You want this statue? Well, send me a link. And also, I can't do this live, you know? I can't do this live. My hands don't work the same way when I go live. My Spidey NFT is still fire. What is that thing worth still, Mike? I still have a bunch of those NFTs still. Oh, God. No, I shouldn't have said it. Yes, I was one of those people. I got a bunch of fucking NFTs. Okay? I actually made some decent money off of that shit, to be honest with you. And then I got, I actually have one of the gold, I think I still have that R2-D2 or C-3PO. I forget which one I have. Will you remember? Dude, NFTs could have been so cool, but a bunch of stupid dude bros fucking ruined it. You know, a bunch of people just scammed a bunch of buttholes. It was like a bunch of people that did, it was the same thing with all those crypto coin scams, man. These people just see like the ability to make a bunch of money and literally rip a bunch of people off. And it's like, God damn it. God damn it. VV drop. Everyone in this chat would be lucky to be a servo skull. Facts. Facts. Everything gets ruined after the first year. I mean, I have some conspiracy theories about it. You know? But we're not going to say those here, you know? NFTs never really paid artists for their work either. There's definitely a lot of that. I mean, for sure. There were people that just ripped motherfuckers off and like made, yeah, like a bunch of that. But see, like that's what's interesting about like branding or, you know, the perception of something, because like you just say that and you're like, that's what it is. And it's like, there's almost nothing I could say to get you to change what you think it is. That's kind of interesting, right? It's like branding, you know, to me, not to get completely sidetracked, but to me, like what I thought was kind of interesting was you saw some athletes get into it, the space. And there was this understanding that like through smart contracts, it would actually like protect legacy wealth a lot more. And you would actually get a much clearer like line of money for not only a person, but an estate. And so you saw a lot of like athletes or people that kind of wanted to get out of the control of systems of like management and distribution, all this stuff. There's a lot of like middlemen in every industry that just prey upon people. It's just so silly. And I was like, that's what the tech is. That's what it really is. It was supposed to be like digital and financial independence. But then it becomes this thing where everybody perceives it as like scams, ripping people off and all this other stuff. You know, look, here, I'll say this and then we'll move the fuck on because I know you don't want to hear this shit. But I'm always fascinated when I see stuff that I think could actually be an equalizer in a very unequal world. So I'm talking about stuff, mostly technology, that could actually flatten things down and actually help people not be taken advantage of by basically like gatekeepers and rent seekers that linger in every industry like parasitic vampires. Anytime tech and crypto is this way and NFTs are this way, AI to a degree is this way as well. Anytime this tech is introduced and people that actually control the world see it as that possible thing, they always get the normies to turn on it. It's fascinating. Like every single time it gets twisted and then everybody turns on it and admonishes it, not realizing that it's the thing that could like break them free of this whole cycle of control. But anyway, enough of all that shit. Nobody wants to hear that shit. Who brought it up? Ban them. Ban them. Ban them. We're all very happy with this techno-feudalism. You know, thank you, powerful elites that allow us to exist. Hell yeah. All right, anyway, let's talk about some silly shit. Should we talk about Batman? Should we talk about Batman? But are we getting Norman Osborn? Yeah, exactly. Let's talk about Batman. Do you guys know about Batman? Do you ever hear this character? Y'all ever hear this character, Batman? You know about this guy? Oh, brother. Oh, brother. Here we go again with the Batman. Yeah. Oh, shit. Here we go again. Is he a bat? Maybe he is. Maybe he is. So, Batman is a popular DC character, guys. I know we're really educating you guys on some stuff today, but yeah, Batman's a really popular DC character. In fact, I wanted to show you something. I actually wasn't necessarily planning on showing you this, but I think it actually will help hammer home the point. Check this out, man. Highest grossing DC movies of all time. First of all, you got Aquaman here, which is like that's like a whole nother video. Let's just save that for now. Table that. We'll talk about the fucking Aquaman. If you real quick, real small aside here. The guy that's at the top of this fucking list here found out he was going to be ending this franchise and becoming Lobo in a different franchise, and he was so fucking excited about it. That's how dysfunctional DC is. But more to the point, look at this fucking list, bro. Aquaman, The Dark Knight Rises, Joker, The Dark Knight, Batman v Superman, Wonder Woman, Batman. Then you have Suicide Squad, Man of Steel, Justice League, and then coming in 11th, Superman, the new James Gunn Superman. There's a lot of different things you could take away from this list, but I think the main one is like Batman's really fucking popular, right? Like, just think about it like that, okay? Batman's very fucking popular, okay? Man of Steel 670, you throw Batman in there, BVS, extra 200 million. Like, come on, man, like that's crazy, right? And that was underperforming. Dark Knight Rises, holy shit. Joker, dude, they made a movie without They made a Batman movie without Batman, and it damn near, made as much as the other one. Dark Knight. Come on, man. And then you got Matt Reeves' Batman in at 7. Look at how fucking prevalent Batman is in this list. Batman is the cash cow of Warner Bros. And of DC. Now, with that in mind, the discussion of what's going on with the DCU Batman and what's going on with Matt Reeves' Batman, I think is an important one to have. And it's a conversation that has been ongoing. There have been a lot of hints over the years that this was something they were planning on doing. Okay, you go back all the way to the Adam B. Very article where James Gunn tagged a Hollywood trade reporter on Twitter and said he needed new sources because there's zero truth into what he's talking about. And then about a year and a half later admits that, yes, of course, they've talked about that. From the very jump, Gunn reportedly, I'm saying like reportedly, from a very good fucking trade reporter, reportedly wanted this merger to happen. And reportedly, according to many other people, Matt Reeves is the hang-up. Matt Reeves doesn't want to do it. apparently, according to some rumors, and this is a little bit like, you know, some Jeff Snyder stuff, some Grace Randolph stuff. According to them, you know, Matt Reeves kind of views the box office of Superman as not good enough to actually do this, to actually share, to actually like have this merger. Okay. But again, I think you look at this over here and it should happen. James Gunn continues to say that, like, you never know. We're going to, you know, try to keep it open. And you know what I thought would be kind of cool? Let's watch this video that somebody put together. It's literally every time Matt Reeves and James Gunn responded to the Pattinson being the DCU Batman, okay? This is an 8-minute video. This is, right here is February. It starts with February 25th, 2022. Let's go through this.
Do I want to see Superman show up in a sequel? I'm just curious if it exists.
You mean if it could? Is that what you're saying? I mean, if something like that did happen, because I was very careful about, to me, what I try to do is take, you know, I did this in the Apes films too, and even Cloverfield, this idea of taking the one fantastical element and then have everything around it sort of be as grounded as possible so that it could feel, I want it to feel emotionally real and to make everything feel very believable. And so in this movie, even further, I think, than what I did in those films, I tried to find the practical, believable version. So if suddenly in the Batman world, you discovered that there was an alien that was Superman, there'd be a lot of shock. I mean, people would have to say like, oh my God, and maybe that would be the one fantastical element. But to be honest with you, that is not the intention at this point, to figure out how to make that come. If, you know, look, we should be so lucky that this is a world that people embrace and that they say like, oh my God, we want to see what would happen when those things collide. I think if that challenge ever presents itself, it would be an exciting one to explore.
Wow. Like, it feels like he's open to this, right? Now, again, this is way before Gunn. I believe this is before Gunn was even, this might have been right around the time that they announced the Gunn takeover, actually. But fascinating to hear him say that, you know, like it would be a good problem to have. Hopefully people embrace it enough to be interested in that question. And but it's also not the intention of what he's doing.
But I'd have to try and do it through this lens, you know what I mean? And that is absolutely right, that at the moment, to me, this world is the place that I want to focus.
And it's one of, you know, our jobs, mine and Peter's, is to come.
So yes, this was way before the Gunn stuff, because this right here is a couple of months after being announced as officially. This is January 31st, 2023. I think this video kind of haunts Gunn, to be honest with you. I feel like it was very sloppy and weird. I feel like he was talking out of both sides of his mouth. I feel like he was trying to kind of like tell you should still watch Shazam and all these other movies, while also being like, I got a 10-year plan coming up next, you know. But
come in and make sure the DCU is connected in film, television, gaming, and animation. That the characters are consistent, played by the same actors, and it works within one story. And if something is outside of that, like...
Which, by the way, he's already walked back on this. He said if an actor couldn't continue for whatever reason, he would absolutely recast, right? So again, like, you know, I'm not trying to be like super rude or whatever, but this was the conception then, and so much has changed.
Matt Reeves' Batman.
James Gunn. I'm curious, why isn't Reeves's The Batman allowed to exist within the new DCU?
This is December
Not to implicate that this is a reason, but I personally like the contrast between a dark and decrepit Victorian Gothic Gotham City and a lively mid-century modern metropolis, and think it was all perfect casting and executed damn near perfect iterations of the characters.
Sorry, yeah, a little
especially Robert Pattinson's Batsy.
It's not an allowed thing. It's Matt's choice. And we respect that.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting, right? He's like, it's not an allowed thing. It's Matt's choice, and we respect that. That speaks to some of the other stuff. Like Grace keeps saying, like, Matt's the one that's not going to do this.
Have you contemplated, have you had the conversation, have you reconsidered integrating Pattinson's Batman into your DCU?
Oh, look at that smile. And by the way, there's some interesting stuff going on here with Horowitz. Maybe I shouldn't speak to it. This was December 5th, my birthday of 2024, last year. Watch Gunn's reaction to this question.
Pattinson's Batman into your DCU?
That's a face.
I've contemplated it. Yeah. Gotta contemplate everything, John. Like, we gotta talk about everything. Like, it just means like, and then See, like you can't. These questions you can't answer because people are too.
Oh, really? Well, you answered it, motherfucker.
Right. Yeah, you would be an idiot not to have that.
They make
I get
everything
it.
to mean. An idiot not to think what's this gonna. How does this go? How does this go? But I'm committed to both telling stories in the DCU and telling Elseworlds story. I want.
What does that mean?
The freedom to tell Elseworlds stories.
Huh? Are you at all worried that a Clayface movie is now likely to open before the next
December
Batman movie
2024.
from Matt Reeves, currently scheduled for release a month after Clayface?
Well, I mean, Clayface is in the DCU, so it doesn't matter.
And last thing for you, I spoke to James Gunn recently, and I asked him, obviously he talked about, letting you do your Reeves verse on his own. And I did ask him, have you contemplated recently integrating Rob into the DCU? And he said, they've talked about it because you talk about everything.
Sure, yeah.
What's your attitude about that at this point?
I mean, it really comes down to whether or not it makes sense. And, I think what's been great is there was really a kind of a story that I wanted to tell, we're calling the Epic Crime Saga and all of that, which is the thrust of what we wanted to do. And it's been important to me to be able to play that out. And, James and Peter have been really, really great about that, and they're letting us do that. And, what the future brings, I can't really tell you. I have no idea right now, except that my head is down now about getting the Batman Part 2 shooting and to make it something really, really special, which, of course, is the most important thing.
And if they decide, we really want Rob to be our DCU Batman?
I don't know. We'll have to see.
What's funny about that question, and dude, he's so plugged. Josh is he's a Josh, you know what I mean? So clever, dude. This is actually around the time that Snyder was floating the possibility of Gunn taking Pattinson as DCU Batman, regardless of what happens in the stuff that Matt Reeves is doing. There was an implication, sort of teased, and this was during the Hot Mic podcast, that maybe Pattinson wanted to do it, maybe Gunn wanted to do it, maybe Matt was the holdup, and maybe they thought, well, we're going to just allow you to do your thing, but then we're going to bring him into the DCU anyways, so the merger happens without Matt Reeves, and maybe there's a way that all kind of plays together here, and I feel like Josh is maybe hinting at that, because why else would he bring this question up? He didn't talk about that with Gunn. So it's just kind of interesting, right?
To see where that goes.
Huh?
¿En qué situación se encuentra ese futuro que te sigue involucrando en la próxima película de Batman?
Bueno, hay un Batman que, como todo el mundo sabe, es el Batman que va a pertenecer al nuevo universo. El Batman de Matt Reeves.
It's pretty obvious that the Batman of Matt Reeves isn't the one from
the
universe. So that's what he said. He's saying it's very obvious. Now, here's the thing. He's probably, because this is Andy Muschietti, he is operating under the impression that it's separate, which I think it was probably designed as separate. I mean, it's just very ambiguous, right? But yeah, so this was, I forget when this was, but that's right around that same time.
There have been rumors swirling for months now about Pattinson potentially being the one to take up the mantle of Batman in the DCU. Is there any credibility to this chatter?
It's certainly not the plan. It's certainly not the plan.
No, yeah, and we love him, but, we have to introduce a Batman into the DCU. It's imperative, and so that's the plan with Brave and the Bold.
Huh?
Wait a minute. Yeah, that's kind of weird. Gunn was quick to answer rather than revealing a response. He said, it's certainly not the plan. It's certainly not the plan. So what with Saffron? I mean, look, there was something that Jeff recently said too, because they just talked about this the other night. And I think Jeff said maybe Zaslav has already put his foot down. And I was like, what does that mean? You know what I mean? Because technically, Zazzy, I mean, if this dude could get his fucking face into the Wizard of Oz, I mean, Zaslav might be the final stop here of the decision maker, but yeah, we have to introduce a Batman to the DCU. It's imperative, so that's the plan with Brave and the Bold. Interesting.
DCU. It's imperative, and so that's the plan with Brave and the Bold.
Huh? Why did Clayface have to be part of the DCU, as opposed to Matt Reeves' The Batman Epic Crime Saga?
Yeah.
Clayface is totally DCU.
The only thing that's in Matt's world, his crime saga that he's telling, is the Batman trilogy, the Penguin series. That's in that lane. So, still under DC Studios, still under us. We have an incredible relationship with Matt, but those are the only things.
Clayface wouldn't have been a great fit for the more grounded The Batman Epic Crime Saga. It was very outside of the grounded, non-super meta-human characters in Matt's world.
We're developing the Brave and Bold script right now, and Andy Muschietti will be the first one to see it.
Everybody knows I love Batman, and it's important to me, so I'm working very closely with the writer on Brave and the Bold.
That was
there are no
very
serious
recent.
conversations about Pattinson continuing his role into the broader DCU, rather than staying in the separate universe of Reeves' world.
Damn, not canon. Oh no, is it not gonna happen?
Once said that the fact that Robert Pattinson's Batman is not in this universe was Matt Reeves' choice. Does that mean if it were up to you, you would have just pulled that into your universe?
It would be a consideration. We'd have to think about it. It is not likely.
Wait a minute, what the fuck? Why did he say this after that? You want to say the fact that Robert Pattinson is not in this universe, Matt choice? Does that mean if we're up to you? That's actually an interesting question. It would be a consideration. We'd have to think about it. It's not like we've never discussed
it.
It's interesting. Your answer is much more present tense than I expected. As if it's an ongoing possibility.
Wow, who asked him that?
I don't. Batman's my biggest issue in all of DC right now. Personally.
What? Did he really say this? Batman's my biggest issue in all of DC right now, personally, and it's not. I'm not writing Batman, but I'm working with the writer of Batman and trying to get it right because he's incredibly important to DC, as is Wonder Woman. So outside of the stuff that I'm doing in the projects that are actually going, our two priorities are finishing Wonder Woman and our Batman scripts. Batman's my biggest issue in all of DC right now. That's kind of a wild thing to say, huh?
And it's not. I'm not writing Batman, but I am working with...
Do you guys... I'm seeing some activity in chat. It kind of seems like you guys want me to just whisper all the time now. Should we just make all of the Den of Nerds content into whispering content?
The writer of Batman and trying to get it right because he's incredibly important to DC as his Wonder Woman. So outside of the stuff that I'm doing and the projects that are actively going, our two priorities are finishing our Wonder Woman and our Batman scripts.
The Batman script. Is that still called The Brave and the Bold?
Right now, yeah. Right now.
In the
Why does he answer shit like this?
Broadest sense, what needs to be figured out to make those two properties work? Batman in this universe.
Batman has to have a reason for existing, right? So Batman can't just be, oh, we're making a Batman movie. Because Batman's the biggest character in all of Warner Brothers.
I mean...
Which he is.
Yeah, he is.
But because there's a need for him in the DCU, and a need that he's not exactly the same as Matt's Batman.
That's fair. Yeah, that's a good point.
He's not a campy Batman. I'm not interested in that. I'm not interested in a funny, campy Batman, really. So, we're dealing with that. I think I have a way in, by the way.
Oh, he has a way in.
I really know what it's... I just am dealing with the writer to make sure that we can make it a reality.
I really should clear this up. Is there still a non-zero chance that Matt Reeves' Batman will get sucked into your universe?
Long pause. I would never say zero because you just never know. But it's not likely. It's not likely at all.
Can somebody just make a decision on this? Like, this is crazy.
Is there one filmmaker, if you had your druthers, if you could lure anybody into the DCU, who would you grab? Make your pitch.
Matt Reeves.
You already got him. Oh, he's in the DCU.
He's not in the DCU.
Bro. Matt Reeves is shitting in James Gunn's cereal. I am absolutely fucking convinced, especially after that clip. Matt Reeves is shitting in his cereal. This is crazy. All right, we're almost done. Just relax.
I was curious, have there been any talks about bringing in Robert Pattinson's Batman into the films, knowing the love that these two actors have?
I've said it before. We've talked about it before, but it's not what's happening right now. So it's, you know, listen, it's all, everything's in flux. So we'll figure out what we're doing next. Yeah.
Huh?
Okay, so I don't know what do you guys make of this? You know what I mean? Like not just like, hey, Josh, we want you to whisper all the time now. You know, we love whispering, and if you could throw in a couple obnoxious, buzzer sounds, that would probably be great. But more to the point of like the Batman shit. What do you guys make of this? Like, because to me, it just feels so obvious that Gunn was trying so hard, and he thought maybe Superman would wow Matt enough to make it happen. I feel like Gunn is fucking irritated by this question. I feel like Gunn is irritated that Matt won't do it. I feel like Gunn like he said, like Batman is his biggest problem in DC right now. Yeah, not gonna lie, hard to focus on info with all the bullshit in that video. Well, that's why I'm a good researcher and you're not. Because my on the spectrum ability is so high that I can still get the info. What's the name of this video? Don't worry about it. Gunn is taking it day by day. Okay. Batman being the biggest problem in DC seems like a major issue. That's what I'm saying. Like, that's not great. Like, that's not great. That's a problem. Yeah, I think so. I've never seen a video that distracted me so much from its actual content. You must not watch a lot of my videos then. Yeah, I'm sorry about your ears, Patty Poop. You can tell by your name you're a real serious fellow, too. What's your biggest issue with all of this, Josh? What do you mean, my biggest issue? I mean, look, I don't necessarily have an issue. I'm just trying to figure out what the fuck's going on. I want Reeves' Batman to be in the DCU. I think it would be instant hype. I think Gunn is right. But it's also one of those things where, like, dude, Matt Reeves' movie made more money. Matt Reeves' show got more viewership. At this point, they should really be asking James Gunn, would you like to join the epic crime family saga? Because that shit's doing better. You know? But I would also argue that Gunn's DCU, like, here's the thing, dude. A DCU without the fucking Batman, dude, Gunn's such a... I feel like they should have just waited till after Batman Part 2, or they should have just said, hey, you're not doing Batman Part 2. I feel like by allowing this movie to come out and not be connected to the DCU, you are making your cinematic universe fly with one wing. It's like a one-winged duck. Because as we just showed you with that the chart of all the movies, dude, Batman's where the money's at. Duh. So like, how are you gonna cook a whole cinematic universe without Batman? I mean, you're lucky that Zaslav was like, do Wonder Woman, idiot. And now they're fast tracking that, because otherwise there's going to be like Supergirl, Clayface, Authority, like a bunch of shit that like nobody knows about, because Gunn loves like obscure characters, right? So yeah, I don't know. Look, the positive thing for DC fans is that Supergirl, the buzz on Supergirl is pretty strong. And I think Supergirl could end up being a very, very good film. And that writer, I forget the name of the lady, but the writer that's on Supergirl, I mean, she might be James Gunn's secret weapon. She's apparently fucking incredible. They have her on the Wonder Woman script right now. And if she's like Himothy, then, they might be fine. And maybe they could just wait and get Batman eventually in there, and it could still be very, very good. But like, how good is the Batman Part 2? Like, how good is the Batman Part 2? Because it's like, the better the Batman Part 2 is, the worse it is for the DCU. I'm sorry, that's just what it is. It's the truth. I don't know what else to tell you. The better the Batman Part 2 is, the worse it is for the DCU. And if that's what it is, why the fuck? What are we doing here? Like, what are we doing here? Anyway, Darth Snape 66, thank you for the 5-spot, brother. Appreciate you. We'll end that segment there. Batman! She is Hearth. I mean, I see what you're doing. Not bad. Not bad. 6 out of 10, like Superman. James Gunn said he liked it, not loved it. What? Batman Part 2 script? I think what he said was it's a good start. We're on the right track or something like that. Yeah, he said some shit. Kevin Feige should throw a bag at Matt Reeves and have him do the Midnight Suns and give him the keys to run the grounded universe at Marvel. I don't think Matt Reeves would play ball within that system. I mean, it is possible Matt Reeves is... I mean, what if Matt's the problem? You know what I mean? What if Matt's the problem? I mean, from where I'm standing, Gunn, for all the criticisms I have of him, is playing ball. He's playing ball with the studios, playing ball with the investors. He's playing ball toning stuff down. You know, look, Peacemaker's like, whatever, that's his thing, and it's fine. But like with Superman specifically, like, Gunn's playing ball, man. You know? Is Matt playing ball? I don't know. I don't know. Nah, Reeves knows his worth. It's his art. Yeah. I mean, that's what makes the situation a little bit more difficult, I guess, is, I mean, Reeves made more money. Like, the Batman made more money, and Batman is more popular, so you could say, like, yeah, you know, but at the end of the day, he executed, you know, and that Penguin show, too, made some serious waves, right? I don't know what Peacemaker is doing right now, but I doubt it's going to end up doing what Penguin did, you know, but... Matt Reeves is not opposed to Superman, but he's described if Superman hypothetically introduced basically Man of Steel. He's certainly describing something different than what Gunn did. Yeah. Which I wonder if I wonder if Matt sat down and watched Superman, right? And I wonder if he, even for a moment, was like, would this work? Could this work? You know, or if like it's just not compatible. Yeah. I don't know. I feel like if you want to know the truth, I mean, nobody knows for certain, but if I'm just reading the terrain here, I think Gunn really wanted it, and I think maybe he was hoping Superman would be successful enough to maybe convince Matt, or successful enough to maybe convince Zaslav, and maybe it was. I don't know that it was enough to convince Matt, but it could have been enough to convince Zaslav, so we'll see. Yeah. Okay, should we talk a little bit about Star Wars Starfighter there? Should we talk about Star Wars? Star Wars Starfighter! Hey, anybody getting excited for Starfighter, man? Anybody getting excited? So yesterday we had the first look from Star Wars Starfighter, the next Star Wars movie going into production. Sean Levy making this one, you know, it's starring Ryan Gosling. You know, they showed the new young male protagonist character. They actually revealed like a full cast. They got some serious talent in this movie. Aaron Pierre, Amy Adams, and more. Pretty fascinating. And it definitely made some noise out there. And then last night, Jeff Snyder had an addition to this report, which I actually do think is pretty cool. He said last night, Oscar-winning cinematographer Claudio Miranda to shoot the next Star Wars Starfighter for Sean Levy. He recently did Top Gun Maverick and the F1 movie. This dude is an incredible cinematographer, like laundry list of absolutely stunning movies. And of course, Top Gun Maverick and F1 in the collective consciousness heavily right now. Top Gun Maverick was a massive hit. F1 has made more money than Superman. Who the fuck would have thought that happened, man? At the beginning of the year or even at the beginning of the summer, like who would have thought F1 would make more than Superman? And also what that means is that it made more money than all the comic book movies, right? So obviously this dude is a rock star. And I think immediately the idea of like Top Gun Maverick visuals, the Tron Legacy movie visuals, the F1 the movie visuals, man, like we're all thinking the same thing, like spectacle. If it's actually them in X-wing cockpits or starfighters of some kind, right? The movie's literally called Starfighter. Are we going to get some next level visuals and just some absolutely stunningly presented cinematography of Star Wars stuff that we all love? I think that's obviously the first thing that comes to mind. And to me, like, hell yeah, like that's really cool. You know, so you got kind of out of nowhere what I consider to be a very good director, a writing team that's awesome. This is the guy he did the Adam Project with, which I really like that film. And this is apparently a script they've been working on for several years, right? And, you know, I like that aspect. You know, you drop the Goss and this kid and a full cast of very talented people. I mean, this is literally probably the most star power in a Star Wars project maybe ever. Because mostly Star Wars just works off of like unknowns or nostalgic callbacks to characters and actors that were unknowns at one time and became known via Star Wars. So pretty freaking stacked cast, okay? But you know the other thing that I was thinking about? I was just thinking about this last night, and I was like, yo, am I actually getting excited for this Star Wars movie here? Okay, and this will kind of feed into a topic that we'll get into later in the stream, which is like, it kind of seems like everything's going in this like A24 direction, where maybe the last 5 years were this super over commercialized, like every company wanted a fucking streaming service, everybody wanted their MCU, Marvel themselves, Star Wars themselves just had content coming out on a factory type setting, and it's all just there to create as many engagement points as possible for every consumer so that you never forget about it. And it didn't work, it got bloated, everybody got fatigued of it. It ended up feeling so shallow and hollow. And it almost feels like everybody's shifting more into like an artistic A24 kind of way. You look at the Spider-Man movie, practical effects, very much focus on the big action shooting, the suits practical. Like they're trying to take it back to a very artistic way of making that film, right? As opposed to like a more commercial way to make the film. Anyway, the point is this. I've been thinking about this movie and I was like, damn, dude, like, yes, I do think F1 and Top Gun Maverick sensibilities in a Star Wars movie would be lit. And I was like, that could be so fucking cool. And then that took me to a place that, well, is kind of confusing. I have mixed feelings about it, but I'm starting to think that Kathleen Kennedy, I don't know if you guys know who that is, but Kathleen Kennedy might be plotting her revenge. One of the things that I talk about a lot when we cover these creators, these writers, directors, even the actors and whatever, right? I like this idea of a person that has a chip on their shoulder. And I like it when somebody needs to go out there and show the audience again who they are, that they are that person, et cetera, et cetera. And you think about Kathleen Kennedy, she has a great career as a producer, which is marred by a very bad tenure as the president of Lucasfilm. And, there's a lot that can be said about Kathleen Kennedy, the culture she created, what she's done to Star Wars. And I've said a lot of what needs to be said. To be fair to her, it's not like she's been completely incompetent. There have been some good decisions. I think elevating Dave Filoni the way that she has been a good decision. Some of you are like, no, you're wrong. That's been smooth. Getting John and Dave together is good. Some of you really like Andor, and you'd have to agree that if you're a fan of Andor, that, courting Gilroy, allowing him to make that show the way that he did, if you're really a big fan of that, you'd have to consider that a W from the producing perspective, man. And I'm going to say something that's going to blow your mind. I'm getting the sense, just with the talent that's being pulled together for this film, just for what this film is, I'm starting to get a sense that Kathleen Kennedy wants to produce the shit out of this movie. That she somehow still thinks that she is that producer, that she has an eye for what the industry needs, that she has her finger on the pulse of what's activating different audiences from genres outside of science fiction. It's just, this is essentially why she gets Gilroy. This is essentially, why she goes after Levy, and perhaps why she goes after this cinematographer here. The point I'm trying to make is this, man. What if, because like we all know she's on the way out, right? We all know she's on the way out. It almost feels like she's trying to make fire-ass, bomb-ass Star Wars once again, and maybe strip out some of the considerations that I think really held her back over the last couple of years. Man, I don't want to get into like the weeds on this, but like Kathy's kind of an interesting cat if you really look at some of the comments she's made, where like she's obviously all about elevating women and trying to get women to be involved in Star Wars, but she's also made comments before about like, I just don't get really great pitches from women. And it's weird to say that at a time when you're kind of taking some terrible pitches, from women in some ways, right? So it's like, what I'm trying to say is this. If Kathleen Kennedy produces the shit out of this movie, and this movie's actually good, and this movie actually does something that Star Wars needs, I will give her credit for it. Like, I will honestly give her credit, and I would not be surprised if we happen to live in a universe where maybe despite everything, she still believes she's a great producer and she wants to prove that she is an incredible producer one last time. Maybe a couple of last times in 16 Ray movies. But the point is, like, I was kind of thinking that this could be what it is. Because otherwise, like, I mean, I don't know. It just feels different with this one. Does anybody else picking up what I'm setting down? Does anybody understand what I'm saying here? Like, this movie, which is like, you know, in a sea of other projects and shit that's falling apart, Kathy, like, goes for it with Sean. And moves a lot of stuff out of the way. I mean, you got a James Mangold movie that's been moved out of the way. You got a Ray movie that's getting moved out of the way. Filoni's movie's getting moved out of the way. We're moving heaven and earth for Sean Levy. And I think Kathy's probably just like, this is the guy, this is the pitch, this is the movie, and we're going to make it one of the best fucking Star Wars movies ever. Because she probably has a chip on her shoulder. You know what I mean? She's probably aware of the conversations, the perception of her, etc., etc. I don't know what it's like to be her, but I would imagine if you were that person and you felt like you still had that talent, you'd probably want to shut up your critics by actually just scoring, by like winning the championship, by like doing the undeniable thing. I mean, if this movie's fucking awesome and we all love it and it makes like $1 billion, I mean, what are we going to say? Like at that point, you literally have to give her credit. You know? So, I don't know, just kind of crazy thoughts, crazy things going on in my brain with regards to this movie here. And I really do wonder, man. How will this movie perform? It seems like it might be kind of hype. I don't know. What do you think, Chad? Am I crazy? Did I get body snatched? Or do you think there might be something to this? Bro, all those all-time great movies from the 80s and 90s she produced, by the way. Yeah, of course. Credit for getting 2 out of 6 movies right. Yeah, but at the same time, like, are certain movies worth more than others? I think so. I think if this movie's a massive hit, it's a big fucking deal for Star Wars. I think it's a big deal, man. It's cooked. I think it'll be $1 billion. Damn. Her leaving in January is fat lie? Well, leaving is an interesting word. Retiring from the position of president, yeah. It needs to be a hit. I think it needs to be a hit. I think this movie needs to be a hit. She wants one last hurrah? I think so, yeah. I think so. Yeah. I mean, it might just be as simple as we look back at the Kathleen Kennedy era of Star Wars and we're like, damn, that was rough. Literal South Park levels of parody. Destruction of, the young male audience. But hey, kind of delivered a couple bangers on her way out. You know, like maybe that's what it is. Maybe that's the best she can hope for from certain groups of folks. But like, all I can say is this. I will try to be fair about it. If that shit is awesome and she's a big part of it, she gets credit. She was never the creator of a great movie. No, she's not, but she's a producer. I mean, this is the producer shit, bro. Like, this is a producer shit. This is producer shit. Like, hey, let's get the talentedest, that's a word, the talentedest cinematographer in the industry right now, and let's court him for a Star Wars movie. Like, that's producing. We need to put out the Dunning-Kruger effect morons in charge of all the Star Wars movies, Critical Drinker, Nerderotic, Ryan, Star Wars Theory, wow. I mean, that feels like you have a very strong opinion of that. Feels like you have some real strong opinions. Blinkers hitting hard, huh? What? Whoa, I have no idea what you're talking about, but yes. Happy Friday! I think Warhammer is awesome. Now that you have my attention, wait, what? Look at the big brain on Brad, right? I'm sure they're looking at this as a reset. Then with a new director, Disney is trying to target. They might actually cook. Yeah, it's possible. I mean, it feels like this is new. I mean, This is just kind of one of those, it feels like you cannot deny that this is cool. Like, getting this cinematographer is, like, undeniably cool. It doesn't necessarily mean the movie's going to be great, but it's like, damn, that's fucking cool, dude. Like, that's really cool. And I think it's a good combination. Like, Levy, because, like, frankly, like, the argument, you could make the argument that Sean Levy is really good at heart and character, and his action not the best. You know, like, you could make that argument. I think Deadpool and Wolverine is aided by a lot of good choreography and cinematography, but I got to tell you, I still think it's kind of sloppy. You know, as far as, like, the action comparatively to some of the best in the MCU, I don't think the action is even that great, right? But bringing on this guy means I don't know if the action will be incredible, but it's going to look really good. You know what I mean? It's going to look really, really good. It does absolutely nothing for me. Wow. So did you not like Top Gun Maverick? I haven't seen F1, man. I would like to watch F1. You know what I watched last night? Totally random. You know what I didn't finish it, but I watched Barry Lyndon. Do you guys ever, any Kubrick heads in here, man? Anybody ever watch Barry Lyndon? Great flick. Great flick. Everything is going to feel better than what we've had, to be honest. Sinners win. You know, I was real close on Sinners, man. I was real close on Sinners. And then I was like, but Barry Lyndon, though. Sean Levy is a perfect corporate lemming to make a Star Wars movie. Yeah, maybe. Never heard of it? What? You never heard of it? Oh, dude, Barry Lyndon's great. Normies are no longer interested in Star Wars, so I doubt it'll make $1 billion. Any meaningful impact, more interested in what happens after KK leaves. Yeah, maybe. Thoughts on Nerdrock, Drinker, and the FNT crew? Don't really have a lot of thoughts on them. You know, I'll say this. Back in the day, I was probably a little bit more like some of you guys, and I got so mad, and I was like, oh, I can't believe this. They're doing this, and they're hating on this thing, and they're all that. I just really don't care anymore. I think in some way, look, it's tough because I don't watch their content, so I can't even really critique the content, right? And I don't know them either. So I'm not in the habit of, like, speaking about people that I don't talk to because I can't really, like, it's just a caricature. I don't know them. I barely have an idea of what they actually talk about. Yeah, I don't really have any thoughts. I'll tell you the thought. I'll tell you this, and you probably won't want to hear this, and maybe this is actually what you're asking. I think most of your perceptions of them sucks ass. But that's just because most of your perceptions of everything sucks ass. Like, and it's not you person that just got offended, unless it is. But, like, yeah, like, it's like, what are you asking me? Should I join in on the group of haterade people that feel like they're the worst and they're destroying the industry or whatever? Hell no, dude. Keep me out of that shit. Most of you guys suck. You know? So there you go. Now we pissed off everybody, which is my secret talent, actually. I'm actually so good at pissing off everybody in the room. So there you go. I just need a new Battlefront game to come out with these movies. Battlefront would be cool. Warhammer Battlefront. I like Top Gun. I don't give a fuck. It's going to be a story we've heard before. I'm good, man. They don't learn. Star Wars is a joke. Damn! This dude is hating out here. It's okay. I know I don't suck. I actually love that opinion. You know what I mean? I actually love that opinion. I think it's like, I think most people, I was actually thinking about this earlier today. I think a lot of people get mad at generalizations, but then they, like, put themselves into the group that's being generalized and they're getting mad. But it's like, you don't have to identify with that. You're choosing to identify with this thing. It's just like, it's just a stupid cycle. I need Street Fighter 3 Third Strike Online Edition. Dude, Street Fighter 2, that animated movie, whew, so good. Whew, so good. I try to give them a chance, but they hate so much. I sometimes don't. It doesn't feel authentic. Yeah, I mean, again, I don't really watch their content. I mean, I think that there's this word, I think it's called Schadenfreude, which is like essentially taking pleasure in shitting on something, or like, you know, and there's obviously like that. I mean, do you guys know what CinemaSins is? Because CinemaSins is like all of that shit before it became politicized, right? And a lot of people will like blame CinemaSins for like destroying film critiques or criticisms or whatever. It's like, no, it's more like the human spirit, man. I mean, fuck. You know, there's this old expression of like, if it bleeds, it leads. You ever heard this? Right? So like, whose fault is it? You know, is it their fault because they make all the content, or is it your fault because there's an audience for it? So clearly. Yeah. Not a hater. I'm excited for the team. However, I'm not sure that the premise / scope of this movie doesn't seem to be enough to move the brand to a new era of storytelling. Well, I think it's way too early to tell. I think that that's the strongest reason I have hope for it, is that I hope this movie actually does usher in sort of a new era and like literally a new time period, but also maybe a new way to look at Star Wars movies. Because like, dude, you know what it is? I think one of the unspoken problems with Star Wars right now, and this is a Kathleen Kennedy problem. Bro, nobody wants to go work over there. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's crazy they got Sean. And to be honest with you, like, Sean's probably a big reason why they got a lot of these actors. You know, Deadpool, Wolverine, etc. Like, that kind of a success. Dude, I don't think people want to go work over there. I don't think people want to do those pitches. Like, dude, there's a famous interview with David Goyer, right? And they're asking him, I think it was actually Josh Horowitz, actually, was asking him about this movie they had. And, like, you got to see the look he gives. He just rolls his eyes and he's like, they have some issues at Lucasfilm. Bro, it's the worst kept secret in Hollywood. She's an authoritarian boomer that doesn't work well with others. She fired the fucking Lord and Miller, two of the most successful dudes in Hollywood, to this day because she didn't like how they folded their socks. Like, and some of that's like hearsay or whatever, but I'm just telling you, like, everybody knows what it is. Okay? Like, nobody wants that. Nobody wants to go work in that environment, right? Sean wants to make a Star Wars movie bad enough to go work in that environment. And who knows, maybe he can just work with Kathy easier or whatever. To me, this movie is important for the fans. I think it's important for the industry. I think it's important for the brand of Star Wars. If it can be successful, it paves a path for folks to want to go make a version of Star Wars with their artistic talents and their perspective. That's what Star Wars needs. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah. Yeah. Josh is toxic enough on his own. Oh, yes. No, there's no shortage of toxicity over here, you know? I'm stacked. I'm stacked. All right, guys. I think that's probably enough on this Star Wars news. It is interesting. I am getting excited for it, and we'll see, though. I mean, look, brother, I just don't know. I mean, it could be Jover, and people could just shit on it the whole way, and then it underperforms. I'm not really sure. To me, I thought the black and white yesterday, and I thought the full cast, I was like, damn, like, they're just doing it again. Like, they're like, hey, here it is, the next Star Wars thing. People still care about Star Wars. It's obviously diminished and things have changed, but, you know, with Kathy maybe having a chip on her shoulder and perhaps being like, this is actually what is most important, is that I deliver like a fucking awesome ass Star Wars movie. We'll see. You know, I'm going to give her credit if that's what it ends up being. Shogun Orta says, Hope and Starfighter bring Star Wars back, but there's an article that Disney is looking for new IP despite the next movie. What's that mean? Movie ain't it? Yeah, so I think what it is Disney is trying. I mean, honestly, here's something else that's going to blow your mind, guys. This is going to blow your mind. I wasn't going to bring this up, but Shogun Orta is making me bring this up. And I hope Justin's in here to feel me on this one. Feel me on this one. So this article comes out, and Disney is trying to get new IP to get young males. And it's just like so obvious that they're just not, like, young males are not resonating with Disney. And the irony being that Marvel and Star Wars were acquired by Bob Iger in some ways to bring males into that pipeline more. And so that's what the article is. And so it's like, okay, what does that mean? Does that mean that there's a lack of faith that Star Wars and Marvel could be rehabilitated to bring more males in? It kind of does. It implies that there's a lack of faith in that. You know, what was really interesting to me was, and I didn't do this, it's just organically. It's just organically. I saw a bunch of posts, and a bunch of the replies were saying they're going to try to buy Warhammer. Dead ass. Like they just kept saying it. Like I just kept watching it. It kept popping up. People were like, they're going to buy Warhammer, or they're going to try to buy Warhammer. I know it. And bro, like a lot of you guys are in like a Marvel Disney bubble on social media. You do not realize the motion that Warhammer has, especially with young males right now. But it is an incredibly popular franchise that just oozes masculinity. You know what I mean? It's just like, it's some of the most fucking high tea shit I've ever seen in my life. And yet it still actually has like a really good female base as well. So a lot of people just randomly out there on the internet think that that's the anecdote for the problems that ail Disney. And I think so too, but Bezos is not going to give that shit up. Bezos, I think, and maybe he's not even like super involved in pushing all of this over, but you look at what the Amazon stuff, like what they're actually trying to do with some Reacher type stuff. Yeah, I think Bezos knows the kind of like, whatever you want to call it, male coded, you know, whatever, content is going to have a wave, you know? And I think it already is in some ways, so. But they're not going to buy Warhammer. They're not. Disney's not going to get. If Disney gets Warhammer, it's over, man. I mean, if that cannot happen. You know what I mean? And I don't think it will happen. Bezos doesn't run Amazon anymore. Oh yeah, no, he's probably like powerless and shit. We shouldn't even talk about him. You're right. Matthew says, forget the Snyderverse and gun stuff. Give us the Nolan verse. Well, like the Odyssey and shit. The Odyssey. That could be kind of cool. That could be kind of chill. Yeah, so that could be fun, I suppose. I'm worried Warhammer 40K will look like Rings of Power. Why? What? Like, literally, why? Why would you think that? Because it's both Amazon? Come on, man. Come on, Trey. Do better. I mean, let me just ask you this. Is there any other Amazon show that looks like Rings of Power? And on top of that, what's wrong with looking like Rings of Power? Rings of Power, the way it looks is maybe the only redeeming quality about it. You're going to make me lose my fucking mind, Trey. Klubacha, what a weird name, says, if you had to pick what MCU project is one that killed public interest in the brand? Based on my girlfriend and other normies, it was Quantumania. First of all, you ain't got no girlfriend, bro. You don't got to lie to us, man. And second of all, your imaginary girlfriend is probably right. I think it probably was Quantumania, yeah. Fallout? You think Fallout looks like Rings of Power? You're crazy, brother. You're crazy. Wheel of Time? I have not watched Wheel of Time. Does it look similar? Maybe. I know, Klobucha. I know. You paid money and I torched you. How could I do it? I'm sorry. It's not your fault. The name threw me off a little bit. Klubacha, you know, chat's talking some nonsense. Like, it's not your fault. They pissed me off. In fact, I take it back. I bet this dude's got crazy bitches. You know what I mean? And not like, oh, bitches be crazy. I'm talking about like just like a lot, like the volume. You know? This dude's out here slaying. You know? The Riz Master. Saying Warhammer is so masculine is the most womanly shit I've ever heard. Are you like a Mad Lib Chat GPT plugin? Like, what is this? You sound like the guy from Mystery Men that made all the points by just reversing the thing. There's zero thought, zero intellect. Did you type that into some fucking chat GPT thing? You did this is the most diss thing ever. Holy brother. Hey Josh, what were you going to do if Doctor Strange wasn't in Doomsday? Oh, we're having fun on a Friday. Woo! We're having fun on a Friday. Every day they will test you. Every day they will push you to the brink. Man. All right. Should we talk about Loki? Should we talk about Loki a little bit? Let's talk about Loki a little bit, then I'll yap about something else, and then we'll get on out of here. I gotta paint my Warhammer. Warhammer. That one was free. The next one's going to cost you. Will Warhammer Dawn of War 4 be any good? Me want the good strategy game. Well, Patty Poop. Listen here, Patty Poop. Esteemed member of the community. You know. Patty Poop. I think it's going to be pretty good, brother. I think it's going to be pretty good. All right, let's talk about Loki. Loki Lover 1315 says, yes, Loki! With all caps! All right, cool. All right, let's get into this a little bit. So it's wild because I was making this point earlier today, but like, man, these scoopers got to go. You know what I mean? Like, appreciate it. You know, thanks for the scoops. Now get fucked, leave forever, delete your account. It's too much. We went from not knowing anything about Avengers Doomsday and the real plot and like what was really going on to the point that like we now know. And, like, sure, we can all act like we don't know for sure. Maybe the people that have been getting 70 to 80% of all the shit right for years and have single-handedly destroyed the fandom surrounding this sort of stuff. Maybe we can just act like they might not know what they're talking about. But the reality is, if you have simple pattern recognition, we fucking know that they just shot a scene with Steve Rogers and Peggy Carter and Loki at the Windsor estate in a house that was codenamed Luke Cage's house, and it's actually the fucking house from Avengers Endgame with Peggy Carter and Steve Rogers where they were out there. Guys, it's too much. We should have known this. It's too much. Why do we know this? Why do I know that for now they've wrapped shooting at Windsor Park? Why do I know that it was Tom Holland, Peggy Carter, and Steve Rogers having a dialogue sequence while they filmed at the Luke Cage secret? Like, it's too much. Then why the fuck are you telling us? Good point, but it's too late for me, so it's too late for you. Now we have to suffer together. This is a good question, though. So, what's the deal here? I mean, dude, it is kind of interesting. We've been following along with this, right? We've been following along, so let's just, like, put a pin in the whole thing with, like, the scoopers ruined the fandom, and we really wish they would disappear forever. We have to live in the world that we live in. And in this world, they still exist, and we do know what we know. So, over the past couple of days, right, it's been like, okay, so there's this scene going on at Windsor Park. 4 actors and their stunt doubles are filming there. And we were like, who are these actors going to be? It seems like, according to what all the scoopers and everybody's saying, it seems like it's going to be RDJ, although it seems like maybe RDJ didn't film his scenes yet, which is weird. Maybe it was just the stunt double. Maybe RDJ was directing from home on the couch again, eating bugs. I assume he eats bugs. And like directing it from the couch with like a Tesla robot in the suit or something like that. But the point is, there were stories about 4 different actors and their stunt doubles filming there. It seems like who they are is Loki, Peggy, Steve, and Dr. Doom. Now, one thing that is kind of interesting about this is like, if it's a dialogue sequence with Peggy, Steve, and Loki, what do you think that sequence entailed? Right? That's kind of an interesting question. What is that sequence? And I would venture to say probably a pretty important dialogue sequence. Okay? And then does that then become a fight because Doom's on his way? Is Doom on his way then Loki shows up to save Stephen Feige, go do multiversal Avengers stuff, cause the collapse of the multiverse, but allow a way for them to persist past the destruction of everything so that they can survive into Secret Wars. Pretty interesting, dude. Now, I'll make one prediction. About this. I think that Feige will leave with Loki, and that they will pay off that scene in Loki season 1 where you kind of see Peggy Carter brought to the TVA. I'm telling you right now, I think that happened. And I believe that'll end up being Loki taking Peggy to the TVA where they can then hide from Doctor Doom. What episode was that? I think it was literally the first episode. But yeah, so that's what I kind of think is going on, but who knows for sure? Like, I'm just speculating on that. But regardless of that, you'd have to imagine Loki watching over the entire multiverse, being from beyond time, understanding what is going on, especially as all the things are collapsing. If he's just holding like 4 strands left and he can see exactly what's going on, he's going to see that Doom is going there to kill Steve to stop this stuff and maybe do something crazy. So there has to be some exposition. There has to be some kind of an explanation for what's happening. And I think probably a very meaningful exchange between all of those characters. So not sure what it is exactly, but damn, dude, like we thought it was probably Loki. You know what I mean? I had speculated earlier in the week that it was Loki. It seems like it will be Loki. This is kind of interesting. So chat, what do you guys think? Do you have any comments, questions about this? What do you think's going on here? Do you agree that it's just too much? Like, it's too much that we know the 4 actors that just wrapped at Windsor Park? Like, come on. That's a little crazy, huh? Photo by Maiko says, F1 was fire. Warhammer gaslighting is crazy, but I will get into it when I get money and a community to play with. Amen. Amen. Appreciate you, brother. Steve still has the time travel suit from Endgame, doesn't he? I believe so. I don't know why he wouldn't. So, yeah. Patty Poop, esteemed member of the community, says the Loki Peggy Cap threesome scene was a bold choice. Probably is too much. Yep, that's true. That's true. There is no way they planned it that far in advance. They have no idea what the fuck they're doing, especially in Phase 4. Yeah, categorically false. Klobacha. How do I say your name? Amy Klobuchar. I'm just gonna call you Amy Klobuchar. Which, by the way, I'm dead ass. I don't even know who Amy Klobuchar is. It just popped into my head. I assume she's a politician. Okay, so what Amy Klobuchar is saying here is that there's no planning. They fucked it all up. There couldn't be planning. Brother, you don't understand plans. You don't understand plans. Okay, so listen to me, Miss Klobuchar. What happens is setup and payoff. Okay? And so you there's 2 parts. One's like the alley, the other's the oop. Okay, so you throw it up and then you slam it. Have you ever seen a bad alley oop? And maybe you take a shot and you miss the shot, but it ends up getting, and it looks like an alley oop because motherfucker catches it and slams it into the thing. So they threw it up. I'm telling you, they had these plans. Like, this is, I cannot believe that Amy Klobuchar in the chat. And this is an attitude that a lot of other people, and frankly, it's a my time to shine hello attitude. Where like Shine is just trying to get everybody to turn on Marvel because she's actually like totally fucking miserable. And she just wants us all to be miserable too. And so this is like a Shine thing where like Shine is like, they didn't plan shit. It's like, come on, man. I've been doing this for 9 fucking years. I know how this shit works. I'm not just going to like, oh, all the shit I know, I'm just going to ignore, and I'm going to take what you say and make that what I believe. Like, no, bro, like, I know how this shit works. When they put Thanos into the end of Avengers, did they know exactly how they were going to pay off Thanos? No, they didn't. They didn't know exactly how they were going to use the stones. They didn't know exactly that all the MacGuffins would build up, but by the time they got to Age of Ultron, they had figured that out. That's why Age of Ultron has a lot of fucking scenes in it that clearly set up all the other shit with the Infinity Stones. They eventually figure it out, find a satisfying way. Let me do another one for you. When they made Civil War, it's very unlikely that they thought Mysterio's in this scene. But then they retroactive is what retcon means. It's a retroactive continuity. The retcon was, oh, he was in that scene. And a lot of like great storytelling, a lot of great stuff in comics and great stuff in Star Wars comes from a retcon. Darth Vader was not Anakin Skywalker when George made the first movie. That's a retcon. That's something he retroactively put into the continuity. Because there was Splinter of the Mind's Eye, and there was this whole thing with like Luke and Leia and stuff, and then like George was like, I'm actually going in a different direction than that, so this becomes Elseworld officially. Like, bro, like that's how that works. So this idea, like, oh, dude, Phase 4 sucked. There's no way. Did you watch the video I dropped yesterday? Amy Klobuchar. Can I just ask you one question here, Miss Klobuchar, if I may? Did you watch the video I did yesterday? I literally made the perfect video yesterday for. It's the perfect copium for Doomsday, and it explains that they have been planning this forever. So you should really go watch that that video. Legends of Sage says, would you rather Blue Marvel, Nova, or Beta Ray Bill show up in the next phase? Why not all? Why not all three, man? Zach, thank you for the gift of membership. I like all those characters, man. I like all those characters. Pitch Perfect Field says, I think getting the F1 and Top Gun photographer is a great idea, but I think getting Sean Levy, Gosling Adams is a terrible idea. Total departure from the aspect that made Star Wars truly great. Nerd Avengers for life. Yeah, that's a fair take. It might just be that Star Wars has arrived at a different place, though. You know? Because, look, I feel the same way. It's weird to get a big movie star. That's not Star Wars. This is a departure from what we would usually expect. But the real star is this kind of unknown kid, relatively unknown kid. So it's like, we're still getting that a little bit. The star power itself is a little vexing, right? It's a little confusing. But again, maybe it's just different times. You know, it's different times. And Aaron Pierre is like clearly on the rise, but relatively unknown. You know, I think Aaron Pierre is going to fucking kill it in this movie too. I'm excited. Pitch Perfect Field, thank you for the 5 gifted memberships. Appreciate you. Thank you. The only faith I have in all of this is that the Russos are involved, and I just have confidence that they're going to knock it out of the park. Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Yeah, we can hope, right? We can hope. We can absolutely hope. So, what do you guys think? Any other comments on this whole Peggy Carter scene? Like, what do you guys think? Like, what is Loki doing there? And if it's a big dialogue scene, I mean, it's kind of like the obvious answer here, right? Is that he has to explain why they have to leave. Like, he basically has to explain why they don't get happily ever after. You know? And also, like, what's Cap going to say? He's going to be like, Loki from Avengers 1? Like that meme? Loki from Avengers 1? You know, like that's going to be kind of wild. Is it too much to ask for some Peggy Carter cleavage? Make Marvel sexy again. I personally don't think it's too much to ask. You know, I personally don't think it's too much to ask. Yeah. Patty Poop, esteemed member of the community, says, honestly, I just glad they're getting involving Loki in it a bit more than, oh, he runs the TVA now. Yeah, of course. Yeah, totally. The supposed clip of Peggy Carter being escorted to the TVA still has me scratching my head. Yeah, man. 100%, right? Oh, shit. Daniel Ha has a new hot sauce flavor. Dude, Daniel Ha has some good hot sauce, I tell you. Peggy is hot, too? Yes, she is. Yes, she is. Very talented. Yeah. Suppose... Oh, yeah. All right. Any other last-minute comments, questions, concerns about this Peggy Carter stuff? I mean, we kind of knew it was Loki anyway, you know. I'm giving the scoopers a hard time here because I'm an asshole. But we did it is kind of obvious that it was going to be Loki. Loki putting a team together? Yeah, he might be. He might be. The guy who jumped on a grenade would probably sacrifice his happiness to save the world from an incursion. Fair point. Fair point. That's a fair point, yeah. Was that confirmed that it's Haley and Loki? No, it's never been confirmed. It's never been confirmed. That's like a speculation on my part. Loki the GOAT? He might be. He might be. How does Loki leave the tree, though? Duplicate? No, I think that it's just all over. I think it's just all over. And I think Loki's just like, hey, best we can do is get you guys out of here, go recruit some multiversal Avengers and stop Doctor Doom in Secret Wars. Oh, dude, Legends of Sage. I love that channel. A bit of everything. We've actually reacted to a couple of his videos. He does good work. Just need them to officially announce Kang recast so I can properly theorycraft. What's stopping you from theorycrafting now? I mean, we don't know for sure, but let your imagination run wild, man. You know, some of the best theories and the best, you know, fun speculative ideas, like, you don't need permission. In fact, scoopers could tell you this is not happening. And you could still theorize that it's happening because they get shit wrong. Don't limit yourself. Loki confronts with Doom, saves Steve from Doom, forming multiversal Avengers. Yeah, I think it's gonna be something like that. Yeah. When do you think we'll get our first teaser trailer? Oh, next summer. Next summer. We're probably a year away from the first Doomsday trailer. Who do you think will build up the ship that saves the survivors from the incursions? I think it'll be Reed Richards, but I also think it's going to be... I think it's going to be revealed that Reed built the TVA. A Reed. Some version of Reed built the TVA. That's what I think. The tech looks so similar, dude. Like that retro 60s tech. It's very similar. Okay, that's all we got about the Peggy Steve Loki scene. It is kind of cool that we know that it's Loki. It does kind of bring in some interesting questions. Probably Doom, Loki, Cap, and Peggy in the scene. Maybe it becomes an action sequence. Maybe some of them escape or whatever. We're gonna have to wait and see. Vessel's vocal member for 18 months says Peggy Carter, Gaia, and Sylvie. Girls get it done. Moment incoming. God, I hope so. Hell yeah. You know what's funny? Actually, you just made me think of something here. Okay, whoa. Hold the fucking phone. Hold the phone here. Hold on to your butts. Because I have an incredible pitch for the next Deadpool movie, okay? I know. Josh, you don't even like Deadpool. Shut up. Shut your mouth when you're talking to me. I was thinking about this last night, man. So, I'll do the pitch right here. MCU reset is about to happen. Okay? Now, when you launch the reset after sequels, it's probably just going to be like X-Men 1, and then we're just going to have to discover for ourselves like what stuff is real, what stuff is not real. Okay? Deadpool cleans up the MCU slop. That's literally the title of the movie. Deadpool cleans up MCU slop. And we're going to do a version of Deadpool kills the Marvel Universe, and he literally takes out all the bullshit characters, starting with Gaia. Okay, now listen, because, you know, I can already hear the people in the room. Being like, I don't know, you know, that just seems like maybe leaning in a little too hard, maybe a little too aggressive, and some people actually like Gaia. I would stand in front of Kevin Feige and all these motherfuckers, and I would say, actually, Kevin, I'm going to do more for building up the characterization and getting people to feel empathy for every character that you fucked up over the last 4 years than you ever could. I'm going to make people actually cry when Gaia gets her head blown the fuck off by Deadpool's twin 50 cows, okay? So we're going to walk in both worlds here, my friend. We're actually going to elevate and give character moment, characterization, and emotional beats to all of these characters, and then we're going to have Deadpool ruthlessly murder them, removing them from the timeline. Come on, man. It's perfect. It's perfect, bro. The Marvel fans would go nuts for this. Oh my God. And it could be so funny. It could be so funny, dude. It could be so funny. She-Hulk International Women's Day scene, anybody? You know what I'm saying? Like, that's just, there's a lot of, dude, I'm telling you right now, you'd have some fun with this script, man. It would be irreverent as fuck. Very funny, hyper violent. And literally, I think fans may be walking away from the thing being like, you know what? I can't believe it. I actually kind of like Gaia. Oh my God, She-Hulk was actually good in that film. You know what I mean? Like shit like that. Holy crap, dude. Where are the people Where are the people at Marvel that have like ideas? Like, where's the brain juice? You know what I mean? Because this is the pitch. This shit would be fire. Who the fuck is Gaia? Don't worry about it. Kevin won't kill Miss Marvel or She-Hulk. Maybe She-Hulk doesn't get killed. Or maybe she gets killed and we pull in just a slightly less feminist version of her from a different universe, you know? And the same thing with Miss Marvel. Maybe Miss Marvel doesn't die, but maybe Miss Marvel with her stretchy powers. Like maybe we kill the goofy crystallized mutant thing. You know what I mean? Hell yeah. Hell yeah, bro. Now we're cooking. Great Deadpool idea, but Marvel doesn't have the guts to do it. But again, like, here's the twist. The twist would be, like, what I would say to them is, like, dude, we're going to present this as, like, a memeable, adolescent, grotesque way to shit on all the stuff that people don't like. But what it secretly is, like, that's the Trojan horse. What it secretly is actually giving character beats, characterization, and emotional stuff to all these characters that you left hanging in a very hollow, terrible way. Like, we'll actually rehabilitate these characters, and maybe some of them survive. You know what I mean? That's how I would pitch it to them. You know, and like maybe one small thing, like at the beginning of the film, like real dead ass, like just walk with me on this. Dead ass. First scene of the film is Deadpool sneaking into Carol Danvers' house and burning her current wardrobe and replacing it with classic Carol Danvers clothes. And then she's hot again. I'm just saying. There's always a silver lining. There's always a way to take the lemons and make some lemonade. You know what I'm saying? Oh, Amy Klobuchar protest. That's how you know it's a really good idea, Kevin. Amy Klobuchar is in here protesting. This is how you know it's good. Come on, man. Come on. I feel like snuffing Taskmaster so quick in Thunderbolts was market research for this concept. I mean, I'm just saying. If Deadpool kills Heather when she says, I save me. 100%. Exactamundo. Didn't save yourself this time, did you? Come on, dude. It writes itself. It writes itself. What else are the problems we have with Marvel? What else? Who else? What other characters? What other things we have? Ralph Boner, anybody? Ralph Boner? Like, we can fix that. What else? What else do we got? Ancient One being a Celtic woman. You can even do that. What else do we like? Or not like? Jane Foster can't. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, the Jane Foster cancer stuff. Like, totally. You can fix that movie too. You know? What else? What else? Dude, the Skrull War Machine thing. We need it. We need Deadpool to fix the fucking War Machine shit. We need that. Like, oh, it was a Skrull, except that's a terrible fucking idea. So Deadpool went back in time, killed the Skrull, literally as he was making out with the lizard. You know what I mean? Like, or is that's Sam Jackson? Never mind. Kill him too, actually. Get a new Sam Jackson in there. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, we could solve all these problems. And we could solve them with crazy graphic level of violence. Come on, man. Think, Kevin, think. You know? Patty Poop, you're dead to me. No, I'm just kidding. That's a fair comment. It's a fair comment. Bring back T'Challa. 100%. 100%. Kill that hippo in Moon Knight. She gone. Red Scarab, get the fuck out of here. Like, dude, I'm telling you, we can fix it. Bob the Builder. Exactly. See, even Little Heck Lou's even getting in on it. Secret Invasion took place in Earth 69, not 616. Dude, you're getting it. You're getting it. Oh. Honestly, I will not sue. Please, take the idea. I might brag a little bit about it on stream, but I'm not a litigious person. Just fucking take the idea. You have my full permission. Take the idea, Ryan. Make it. You could also have a scene, Ryan, where you literally kill Nicepool, like, as they're doing this thing, and then you can just look at the other Deadpool and be like, just trust me, this is going to be worth or way more trouble than you think. And he just kills Nicepool, like, before you even do it. You know what I mean? Just a little cheeky kind of a thing, you know? We can have fun here. We could have fun, guys, you know? All right, well, I just thought, I mean, come on, that would be really funny, right? He just blasts Nicepool, like, before they even, he's like, just trust me, it's going to be way more trouble than it's worth. And then we just move on. At what budget, Josh? At what budget? Make the movie using AI and lean into that. Have Deadpool be like, I didn't want to pay the visual effects artist, and not just because of what Victoria Alonso told me, but because I actually want to save the money for more gratuitous cameos. And then you can even have some of the terrible ass effects that are AI with like 6 fingers and stuff like that. You can actually like have Deadpool make fun of it. I mean, guys. You know? Just join. Can you summarize what you've just talked about? I actually can't because I'm blacked out. And I don't remember even what we're talking about right now. Wait, you like Deadpool again? You shut your mouth when you're talking to me. I always love Deadpool. Look at my fucking cardboard cutout. Using AI to make Marvel movies is how we ended up with She-Hulk. Reverse Uno card. AI would have made a better She-Hulk show than they did. We can tell by these takes. Wait, what? Marvel should straight up hire Josh. Do you ever feel crushed by the weight of your genius? No. It's awesome. There's this Salvador Dali quote where he talks, it's something like, every day I wake up with the incredible good fortune to be Dali. I feel the same way, but Josh Lucas Denner, not as cool as like Dali, so I try not to like outwardly brag about how much I love being me. But you guys probably know. You know what I mean? Like, I fucking love being me, dude. It's awesome. Imagine Doom dies in Doomsday and Secret Wars is just Deadpool killing the MCU. Let's not get crazy, okay? Let's not get crazy here, David. You know, we don't really like Deadpool that much, you know, so. The real Du Bois says with a $5 holla, make Secret Invasion a different universe and one of the first universes that got incursion. Problem solved. War Machine fixed. Nerve Edge for life. Brother, I'm telling you, there's something here. You know, all jokes aside, there's something here, right? Yeah. There's something here. And I swear to God, I won't sue. Like, I swear to God. Like, take the fucking idea, please. Do it. All right. Anyway, that's just a little random shits I was thinking about today. I was like, yo, I'm going to tell Chad about this. I have a crazy idea. So there you go. There you have it. Okay, should we shift into watching the current Nova Warhammer tournament? Is it over? The Warhammer... They ended the Warhammer stream? Adam, what the fuck? I thought they were streaming all day. Did the Custodians lose? Oh my God. Looks like they got crushed. It's still up on Twitch? This was streamed 3 hours ago. They're splitting between the rounds on YouTube? Oh, wow. Interesting. Okay. Interesting. And the view count goes down. Yeah, probably, because y'all don't understand good stuff. They had 0 viewers, so they ended up... that should have been clipped. It was interesting. Got that exclusive. What do you mean? If you start watching Warhammer, I'm leaving and taking my like with me. Okay, Amy Klobuchar. Jeez. Always got to be a buzzkill, man. Always got to be a buzzkill. Guys, that's all I really had to say today, man. That's all I had to yap about. We talked about Yoki. We talked about Loki. We talked about Starfighter. We talked about Batman. You know, I had some shit I was going to yap about with, like, movies and how they're going, but, what was the book that Henry was reading that's connected to Warhammer live action? I'm actually not sure what book he was reading. If you find me the picture, I could tell you what book it is. But, you know, I could yap about Warhammer. I actually do have a really interesting Warhammer take. You guys want to hear a little about the live action Henry Cavill stuff? Anybody? You want me to do a little yapping in? Well, I tell you, why don't, no, I'm good. Oh my God. No, spare us, please. No. Is it a take or actual news? It is what's this, Adam? What's this? Some video on Warhammer? Oh shit, round 2 is up. Started 70 minutes ago. World Eaters and Necrons? Okay, all right. We could pivot into this. No, I'm just kidding. I'll spare you guys. But how about this? Let me go use the restroom, and then I'll come back and I'll yap about Warhammer, because I actually had this thought. We were talking a little bit about this yesterday in the Discord. Really interesting things going on in that Warhammer part of the Discord. But somebody brought up, like, how when we watched the video the other day, they talked about how there's nothing that's not canon in Warhammer. Like, everything that comes out that's officially produced, whether it's one of the shows, like the animated shows, the thing on Amazon, the Secret Level episode, or the novels, the comics, even the codexes, all the lore. There's nothing that Games Workshop creates that's not canon. And that's kind of unique. Like, it's unique to Star Wars and Marvel and all that, right? Because there's, like, different canons within those IP, those franchises. But it actually means something quite interesting about the show. And I can drill down on, like, a very interesting distinction here because, well, maybe I'll just save that. Let me just make the point in the Yap session. Let me go use the restroom. Oh, he was reading the Beckwin book. Ooh, interesting. That's kind of interesting. Okay, let me just go use the restroom real quick, guys. I actually do have some serious yapping to do about Warhammer, specifically the Henry Cavill live action thing. I tell you what, maybe we find something for you guys to look at here. While I am going to the restroom. Hey, look, here's a take. I'll put this on the screen, man. I saw this earlier today, and it made me want to run through a fucking brick wall. Look at this Giga Chad Thor, dude. Holy shit. Okay, I'll be right back. Pretty cool, huh? Check this out, too. Some stuff I gotta build and paint later. This assassin. And then these Stern Guard veterans. This is what I gotta do today. This is the most important thing. I gotta build and paint these Stern Guard veterans so that I can play with them tomorrow. It's a tough life, man, you know? It's a tough life. Okay. So I wanted to talk a little bit about Warhammer because I have this crazy take about the show. Right now, the Henry Cavill show is probably a year or two out. The last official update from GW was in one of their last financial disclosures. As a publicly traded company, you know, it's the UK, but it's still a publicly traded company. They have to give, official reports to investors, to everybody, public information because it's a publicly traded company. What they had said about the Cavill show was that they actually can't talk about it anymore because of the secrecy of it and the deal with Amazon. But what they said was it was a long-term deal, multiple years. I think they used language that said it could even be like a decade, right? So I think they're building something that's going to be long-term. They're keeping it very close to the vest right now. They're keeping it secret. They're writing it. They know what the show is. That was an update that Cavill gave. They know what it is. Having a bit of trouble cracking the scripts from what I've heard, but they're working on it. And then they have planned to take it from the show into the movie. Now, one of the things that's... Oh, thank you, Kalisto, and I will look at that in just a second here. One of the things that's kind of interesting about the show, and I think this will actually make the show very unique. Oh, it's Penitent. Okay, interesting. Yeah. Is that Beckwin underneath it? I can't tell. Dan Abnett, though, which is great. One of the things that makes this show unique, I think, especially compared to a lot of what Marvel and Star Wars has done, is Warhammer technically doesn't make anything that's not canon. What I mean is, like, everything that comes out published officially via Games Workshop in Warhammer is considered canon. The novels are canon. This is the image that chat was referring to. He was talking in this was on his Instagram. He was talking about like updates surrounding the show. He's looking at scripts, etc. right here. But anyway, the point is this. There's nothing that's not canon. Star Wars is different. Star Wars always had like the EU ever since Splinter of the Mind's Eye was created and then considered alternate story. Star Wars was split and the movies was the official canon and the books were different and then the comics were different and eventually maybe there's a version that is canon. Even to this day, there's a lot of confusion about what is canon and what is not canon. Dragon Ball is a really interesting one. All kinds of Dragon Ball content. You know, my buddy Geekdom would tell you there's no canon. There is no canon. The only canon is the manga that he actually wrote for all of those years that then was later adapted into the anime and stuff. But the real core canon is just what Toriyama did, in the actual black and white manga for those 20 years. They have all kinds of alternate canon stories, GT, the movies, the Tree of Might, all this sort of stuff. Marvel alternate canons, you've got Elseworlds within Marvel Comics. Marvel Comics itself has had reboots, resets, little less than DC actually, if you really think about it. But yeah, there's been that canon, and then there's the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Now, this is a very important distinction because the Marvel Cinematic Universe is its own canon. It is not expanding on the canon of the comics. It is not giving you the new canon. It is one canon of many of different stories that are out there within a multiverse. And therefore, like, the MCU was never, ever the same as comics. We sort of, as comic fans, would look at, the upcoming stuff, whether it was Thor, Winter Soldier, like all the movies on the horizon. And we always knew, well, this isn't going to be the comic book version. It's going to be the Marvel Cinematic Universe version of it. And that's going to be interesting. Now, taking it back to Warhammer, what's interesting about the show, and we kind of know this is what it's going to be, but this show is actually going to be canon, which, like, at one level is, you might say, duh, but think about what I just told you, right? About Star Wars, about Marvel, about Dragon Ball. It's actually not obvious that that would be the case. And a lot of other companies might approach this in a way as to make the Warhammer show its own canon separate from the 600 novels, 3,000 short stories, 10 different editions of the game. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, there would be maybe a benefit to Clean Slate, to not being have to be kept. Oh, look, that's the actual Warhammer Nova thing they're actually talking about. I'm going to pause that. Do you understand what I'm saying? So at a very base level, this is an interesting distinction, but it's actually even crazier than that, because if you really drill down on what Warhammer has done with its canon, they're surprisingly consistent. And I know there's a lot of changes and different writers have their own opinions, et cetera, but they're pretty fucking consistent with what happened, who the characters are, and what the lore is, okay? But here's something else that's kind of interesting. And as I was thinking about all of this, because there was something that Cavill had said, this had to do with Dan Abnett, and essentially, guys, the TLDR is, there's a big twist coming in the novels. And the novel that is supposed to illustrate that big twist was delayed. And the writer that wrote that book said that the reason they delayed that novel is because they don't want the show to contradict this big coming change in the canon. Okay, so again, that implies that, like, they are going to do, like, you could think of it as like, oh, they're going to do the canon from the novels. That's actually not what it is. They're just doing the canon. Here's where it gets really interesting, though. A lot of Warhammer lore cannot be taken as fact. I'll give you one example. The Emperor of Mankind. I'm actually working on an Emperor video right now on the Warhammer Explained channel. It's fucking peak. You guys are going to love it. It's a fucking incredible video. But I actually had to remake part of it because I went back and reread the chapter from Master of Mankind, okay? There's this part. If you ask your average Warhammer fan, they will tell you the Emperor is from ancient Turkey. He was born around that time. And as a young child, he watched his uncle kill his father, right? And then he becomes the Emperor. He kills his own uncle, decides he's going to intervene and guide humanity forever. And that was the moment, okay? Most Warhammer fans would tell you that's the lore. But that's actually not the lore. Because if you take it just a little bit of a closer look, what you realize is in the novel itself, this is a vision that the Emperor is psychically showing a Custodes. Okay? And you realize that the Emperor could be lying. And in fact, that Custodes is a character known as Ra, really cool character in the lore, ends up getting stabbed with a demon sword and running for eternity to save everybody from a demon. It's a crazy ending. But the point is, in that moment, even Ra himself questions whether or not this is his master's actual origin. So you see, what I'm trying to explain to you is there's a lot of stuff in the Warhammer lore that fans know of happening, or they know it a certain way. But if you look just a little bit more closely, we actually don't know the truth. Now, what's interesting about that is in a novel, a lot of stuff is created in the theater of the mind. You can be very clever with what you do and do not reveal within a description, within a story of a story. There's a lot of little tricks you can use in prose to hide and obfuscate the actual clear-cut truth of a thing. Movies are different. Movies can do that as well, but movies and live-action shows are a little bit different. And so what I'm gonna put this out there, and it's a nuanced thing. Maybe people don't even care, but I care, and I think it's kind of cool. I think the Warhammer live-action show and Cavill's Warhammer Cinematic Universe will be different than a lot of other shit, because not only is it the lore, it actually might be considered the highest form of the lore. Do you understand what I'm saying? A lot of this is up for interpretation, but once we see it in live action, if we actually get a scene, that's not the Emperor showing a vision of his origin, but we see the origin. And they are telling you, this is what it is. This is Games Workshop. This is the Black Library. This is Warhammer, not just giving us a live action version of Warhammer. This is them saying, this is now the highest form of what the lore is. And I think That's actually brilliant. I think from the perspective of Warhammer fans, that is an incredibly exciting idea. And I also think for a lot of normie fans and people that are coming into the hobby, that could be really cool as well. Who knows? You know what I mean? Like, maybe this is just a super nerdy distinction that like only I care about, or maybe a couple of you that are, you know, watching this on the channel care about. To me, it's actually quite fascinating. To me, it's like, that's really interesting. Maybe some clarification, you know? I don't know. What do you guys think of that? What do you guys think of that? Do you understand what I'm saying? Did that make sense? Is this thing on? Does anybody get what I'm saying? I think that brings in extra value. I think that's a really interesting way to handle this kind of a thing, because in a sense, it's not actually an adaptation. It's not really an adaptation. Does that make sense? I don't think chat understands. I don't think chat appreciates what I'm fucking saying here. We're cooking up here. This is crazy. It's so important. Don't you understand? You'll see. You'll all see. I'm going to be like fucking T'Challa in Black Panther 1 inside the spirit realm. Warhammer is going to pop off. You guys are all going to be like, holy shit, I can't believe Josh was right. And I'll be like, you were wrong. You were all wrong. Yeah. We'll see you in 10 years. I guess. Oh, shit. You think it's going to take 10 years? Maybe. Maybe. Can you start from the beginning? No! I understand, but Warhammer sucks. God damn it. You're Amy Klobuchar, too. Yeah, it was great. What's the next topic? Awesome. Love it. I love it here. Hang on. Hang on. Did we save it? Did we save it? Did we save it? I think we saved that shit. Woo! Guess who's back? Back. Yeah. All right, cool. So I'm glad that we saved it so I can give you a proper goodbye. I'm out of here. I'm going to go paint Warhammer. Your voice is too low? Oh, it did do that again, didn't it? Okay, yeah. Put it back up there, yeah. We just got Klobuchar? Exactly. Hey, by the way, who is Amy Klobuchar? I should probably know who she actually is. I don't know why that name popped into my head. That's what you get for talking about Warhammer? You don't say that. You don't say that to me. A Minnesota senator. Oh, okay. Liberal, Democrat. Oh, Democrat. Should I comment on that? Josh, what book do I start reading Warhammer? Read Warhammer for Dummies. It's a great start. Check super chats. Okay. Okay. Could do a tier list Warhammer faction video. We should do that. We absolutely should do that. I'm not going to do that today, but I'll plan on doing it. Maybe next week we'll do that. I posted the Henry image in the Warhammer thread. Yes, thank you so much. Click Clack says, read any Philip Drilute comics. He's a metal. What the hell is that word? Hurlant, co-founder, really heady with psychedelic art. Gale and wow, okay, Warhammer-ish. All right, Philip Drilute. No, I am not familiar with this. This is kind of interesting. I'm gonna look him up. I'll look him on up. What did he write? He's French. Interesting. Okay, maybe I'll look into that. That's cool. That's cool. This guy can't pronunciate nothing. That's true. Big Fry TV just getting into Warhammer. He said he shouldn't have gotten into it 10 years ago. Said he should have gotten into it 10 years ago. Yeah, Warhammer's fucking awesome, dude. In all seriousness, there is no really good way to get into it. There's some good channels out there, some good videos. I actually do think the Warhammer lore for beginners video that I made is pretty good. So I would recommend checking that out. And then you just got to kind of like find what's interesting to you and read the next thing and read the next thing, man. It's like 600 books, bro. It's really hard to point you in any direct one. Can you explain the successor chapters in Warhammer? Yeah, successor chapters are one of my favorite things. Like, they're super, super crazy. So it's kind of like interesting because successors were a thing that was in the mind of the original creators before it was officially in the canon. Because the first edition of actual Warhammer has successor chapters. So it has the an Imperial Fist successor chapter known as the Crimson Fist, and this really cool character named Pedro Cantor. But at the time, they didn't think they were going to do the Legion thing and shit. It's just like the way they conceived it was, of course, there's just a ton of different armies. There's a ton of different Space Marine armies in the future, okay? So they kind of reverse engineer from that to this idea of the legions. Yeah, Pedro Cantor, yeah. So the legions. TLDR, the Emperor of Mankind creates the Primarchs. They're the demigod sons. They're supposed to be the generals, and they do the crusade. He creates a lesser version of them. Those are the Space Marines. They're the sons of the Primarch. So he's doing like a father, son, grandson kind of a thing. And those are the legions of Space Marines. Every legion was reunited with its Primarch. The Primarch leads the legion. The legion could be as big as they wanted it to be. The Ultramarines, the Sons of Horus, the Dark Angels, some of the largest legions, Alpha Legion small. Yeah, other legions were small. Like even the Night Lords were relatively small force, not really given a lot of worlds, right? Okay, so anyway, point is this. It gets to a point where Horus is put in charge of all of the legions. He's War Master. So he has like literally millions of Space Marines at his disposal. And not only that, he had the control of like the Loyalists. So one of the things he does is he makes the Lion go on this crazy fucking mission to like the outer edge of the galaxy just to get him out of the way. Just to get him off the board, so to speak, right? So anyway, after the Horus Heresy, Guilliman, who's at the time Lord Regent, he's like, we can never allow anybody to have control of that many Space Marines. And so he comes up with this idea known as the Codex Astartes. Now, what the Codex Astartes was kind of like a version of the Codex for the Astra Militarum or the Guard, which had like, it has a lot of things. I don't want to get too lost on the weeds. The main point is it broke up the legions so that there would only ever be 1,000 Space Marines in a legion. Okay? So in order to do this, they create the successor chapters. Now, there's this thing called the founding or the second founding, which is this period what I'm talking about right here, which they took like the Ultramarines, right? And they broke them up into a ton of different successor chapters. So you'd have like the Ultramarines and like, I don't even remember, like the Celestial Sons, and there's some other ones. But then as 10,000 years go on, more and more successor chapters are created. Some via the Primaris Project when like Guilliman returns, some just split off at an ideological base, some get wiped out and reform, like and so all they have to do to be compliant as a Space Marine chapter is to give a tithe of their gene seed, which is then used by the Imperium at large and the Astra Militarum to create other successor chapters, to replenish the ranks and all sorts of stuff, right? So basically, like, if you just come into current Warhammer in the 41st or 42nd millennium, and you go into like any star system and you're just like, well, what are the conflicts here? You're probably looking at a successor chapter of Space Marines. Like that, to me, the successor chapters of the Space Marines are really the true inheritors of the Imperium, because their home worlds, they rule. They have gubernatorial power over their home worlds. All right? Does this make sense? So, dude, the successor chapters of Space Marines are cool as shit. But it's also an aspect of the lore that, like, look, it's hard enough to learn what Space Marines are and to learn about the actual chapters. So it's something you don't really get into. I mean, it's just like It's hard to like be like to normies like, oh hey, you just learned about the 18 legions. Well, actually, there's thousands of them. You know what I mean? Yeah. Was that like the best explanation ever? Like, do you guys get it now? Are you all excited about Warhammer now? Watched my first Warhammer 40k gameplay yesterday. The game looks amazing. I might be joining the fam soon. My man, I tell you, I'm excited to roll dice tomorrow with my buddy. I'm going to take some pictures and stuff. I'll post them in the Discord and on Twitter. It's a great game, man. It's a great game. There's nothing quite like, you know, you spend years making these armies. You know, you spend years painting up and learning the game and the lore. And then you get to take that shit and go play on the tabletop with your friends. It's great. Vinny2Player says, hot chicks in Warhammer. Yeah, dude, Warhammer has some of the coolest and hottest chick characters ever. The Inquisitors, the female Inquisitors are awesome and super hot. There's a whole army called the Sisters of Battle, which are like awesome, bro. So you guys are really gonna get me fucking yapping on this shit, but like, yeah, so the Sisters of Battle are awesome. They're literally one of the coolest. Like, it's a rare thing that an all-female faction in a very dude bro game is so accepted and loved by all the male fans. Brother, the Sisters of Battle are maybe one of the coolest parts of Warhammer, and they also hearken to a very old school part of the lore and this very monastic, nun-like, you know, kind of gothic, you know, visuals that they have. It's like some of the dopest shit in the setting, to be honest with you. Isn't there women custodian? So like, that's like a kind of controversial part of the lore. This was kind of introduced over the last couple of years, and like, the truth of that is, it's just not well established in the lore. And there is stuff in Warhammer that tends to like pop up and contradict some of the other lore, but mostly it just gets kind of like discarded, right? So for instance, right now the whole fandom is up in arms about the Terminus Decree, which is basically just like the new female custodes thing. And I think they're actually very similar, because the problem with the female custodes thing and the problem with this new Terminus Decree thing is like, you just can't fly in the face of years of established lore. And then if you do, you can't lie. You are not going to be able to gaslight Warhammer fans into believing that it always was that way. So look, I mean, my thing is this, like, I actually do believe there could be female custodians. I actually think that makes way more sense than a female space marine, but you also need to earn it. And also, why would you even do that? Like, you literally have some of the coolest female armies ever. I don't know why you need a female custodians, right? But yeah, that's like a whole different thing. Why are there custodians? I mean, are we really doing this? Like, are we really doing this? You want to know about the custodians? I mean, I could do this all day. Oh shit. You want to know about the custodians? Okay. So, Emperor Mankind, incredibly powerful psyker, sees this crazy vision for the future of humanity and decides he has to intervene, and he has this big old plan. He's going to conquer the galaxy, reunite humanity, and fight off evil and win. Okay? That's the TLDR. So, he decides, I'm going to need some super soldiers for this shit. First super soldiers he makes are the Adeptus Custodes. The Custodes are 1 in a billion. For every billion humans, there's one viable Custodes. And they have to be brought in as a young child. And what a Custodes is like the Lamborghinis of super soldiers. So, perfect molecule by molecule manipulation to make the absolute perfect physical and mental versions of a super soldier. That's what the Custodes are. They are the Emperor's bodyguards. 10,000 of them are created. They're given the best technology, armor in the Imperium. And there's a lot of interesting shit in the lore, like even new stuff. So there's this great collection of short stories that just came out called The Era of Ruin, which is like an end cap. It's almost like an epilogue to the Horus Heresy, okay? And there's this great chapter with the Custodes. And dude, the Custodes are there and they are they don't vocalize it. It's all internal dialogue, which again is like that unique novel thing, right? The Custodes are having this big internal dialogue and they're fucking pissed at the Primarchs and the Space Marines. And what they're saying essentially is like, oh, if you were really the Emperor's chosen, why did he need 10,000 bodyguards? If he really trusted you, why did he need 10,000 bodyguards? And why weren't you one of those bodyguards? And it's like this whole idea that the Emperor kind of, like, this is the way I view it, is the Emperor was like, okay, we're clearly going to fuck around with some war. We're going to get into some shenanigans. There's going to be a civil war. Shit's going to get crazy. I better create the most dope fucking soldiers for me. I'm going to program them to be loyal so that no matter what happens, I've got the best army that's loyal to me. That's the way I view the Custodes. Yeah. Rossi says, Corvus Corax looks and feels a lot like Ozzy Osbourne. Yeah, and I like the current stuff they're doing with him, where he's like this sort of warp demon, but like a good warp demon or whatever. Very interesting. Very interesting. What are the Custodes midichlorian counts? They actually don't, you're probably like joking or whatever, but the truth is they don't have a lot of warp abilities. They're very resistant to corruption from the warp. Yeah. So they're almost, so do you guys know about the Ysalamari? Can I explain the Eye of Terror? Yeah, the Eye of Terror is basically just a giant fucking warp storm. So essentially, like, I believe it's Abaddon, after he destroys Cadia. I could be getting this wrong, but I'm pretty sure after Abaddon destroys Cadia, he causes the Great Rift to open. Technically, I think it was Mortarion during the Horus Heresy casts a big warp storm spell, which like separates off like Secundus and whatever. But then later on during the 13th Black Crusade, I'm pretty sure Abaddon destroys Cadia. There's a massive rift that opens up a bunch of warp storms, and the center of that is the Eye of Terror. I'm pretty sure that's what it is. Yeah, so the Ysalamari from Star Wars are kind of in Warhammer. So there's these things known as blanks, or what they describe as the pariah gene. Okay, no, they're not blanks. But blanks, or people that have the pariah gene, have like a null effect against warp shenanigans. So they're actually a little bit like the Ysalamari. The Necrons actually create Blackstone fortresses, which also create sort of a bubble like the Ysalamari against the warp, right? So there's a lot of like similar science fiction shit from those that are in there. Enter Null. Yeah, man. Yeah. All right, everybody. Hey, I really appreciate you guys. Thanks for another banging week over here. A lot of fun streams, a lot of good clips that'll drop for you guys later today. Make sure you go watch the one with the audio that's going to crush your ears and the very annoying whisper video. I think you're going to like that on the Clips channel. So seriously, go check that stuff out. I really appreciate you. I'm going to be working on some videos over the weekend, but I'm also out of town tomorrow for my buddy's birthday. We're playing Warhammer, baby. So I'm excited for that. Thank you for the support. Much love, man. We'll be back at it next week. I got some good ideas, man. We're going to cook some cool content next week. Who knows what'll happen? Maybe more Spider-Man set photos, huh? We'll see. Appreciate you guys. Thank you so much. As I always say, I hope you are having an awesome and a nerdy day. And I'll see you in the next video. Is everybody gone? Did everybody leave? Another happy landing. Another happy landing. What a week, huh? Star Wars hype back on the menu? Maybe for me. Seems like not for you. Lots of Warhammer stuff, lots of cool Marvel stuff. Oh man, I can't wait. Guys, all jokes aside, you know that the next time you see something actually officially revealed, for Warhammer, or if you can imagine when the first trailer for the Cavill thing actually pops off, all of you are damn near instantaneously going to think of ya boy. And yes, I will be like a kid in a candy store, dude. I can't wait. And even if you're not that excited, you should be excited for me. You know what I mean? Like, come on now. Don't you want me to be happy? Don't answer that. Okay, hey, I'm gonna get out of here. Enjoy your weekend. Do me a favor. Actually, do me two. Open up your third eye and wash out your stinky butt.